Hey there, where would I go online if I had no coding experience and I wanted to start learning how to code, or I wanted to get better at coding? There's a ton of free resources online and they cover a variety of different programming languages and different software fields. You can find endless video tutorials, you can find websites that allow you to code in the browser, you can also find some websites that even give you some coding communities that you can join and you can ask questions there. It seems like now is the best time to start learning how to code, and that's because everything online is free. And this is a good thing, but it can be overwhelming. So where should you start and which websites are the best? I understand the real concern of this question. You just want to make sure you're not wasting time and you don't want to be taught something that you're going to have to unlearn later on. So in this video, I'll be talking about the websites that I recommend and then how to use them effectively, and then my own story of how I learned online. So let's discuss. Alright, so here's the first course that I'd recommend. That is CS50, which is an introduction to computer science. And a lot of people online recommend this course. And how can you go wrong? It's from Harvard University. And the best part about this course is that it's free, and they talk about a variety of topics. Let's go to the YouTube page. You can actually just watch this on YouTube. I think what's great about this course is that it talks about a variety of different topics and it gives a good introduction on each of those topics. For example, there's C, and then there's arrays, algorithms, memory, data structures, Python. These are all really important topics when it comes to coding, and you're going to encounter them no matter what kind of software development field you're in. Alright, the second website I recommend is Code Academy, and a lot of people recommend this as well. And you can join it online for free as well, and this is what it looks like when you join online, and it gives you a recommendation on different courses that you can take and skill paths. There's a variety of different courses that you can take, and they even have AI courses, so that's really interesting. And then here are some career paths that you can take, and then it includes different amounts of courses that you can take relating to that career path. And it also shows you the most popular courses that everyone else is taking, and most of them are beginner friendly. They even have some courses on ChatGPT. That's really interesting. And when you select a topic, you can see all the different concepts that you can learn through Code Academy. Here's what it looks like when you click on the arrays, and I think this gives you a really basic understanding of arrays, and I think it's really good. There's even an example at the end, and they show you what the output would look like. Alright, so here's the third website that I'd recommend, and that's Free Code Camp. And Free Code Camp is also free. They also have a lot of certifications that you can earn. And the certifications here are not the only things that Free Code Camp offers. If you just go to the tutorials search bar, you can type in the tutorial for C. Oh, here's C++. It will show you C++ tutorials. And then if you go to C programming, you can see all of the articles that they have and the posts that they have about C. Here's a post about scanf. Here's a function that I use a lot in my videos. And I think it does a pretty good job of explaining what scanf is and how to use it. And some of these posts are really long. For example, this one, C Beginner's Handbook. You can get the handbook here, the PDF version. And here's a table of contents. It covers basically everything you need to know about C. So those are three websites that I'd recommend, but to be honest, I haven't used them myself, and that's because I learned how to code in university, and I also learned how to code more when I started teaching at the university alongside my professors. The reason why I'm recommending these websites, even though I haven't used them myself, is because I'm thinking about the beginner programmers, and I think these are solid resources for beginner programmers. But to be honest, there is one website that I actually went to a lot when I was learning how to code, when I was self-teaching myself. And what is that website? That website is Stack Overflow. And what is Stack Overflow? Stack Overflow is just a forum where people ask questions and then other users give answers. And the reason why I found it so useful when I was starting off in my job is because a lot of the times when I needed help programming something, or if I had an error that I couldn't understand, I would just type it in Google. And whenever I would type it in Google, Google would give me a question and answer from Stack Overflow. For example, if you type in how to read a CSV file in C, you're gonna get these websites, and these are helpful websites, but if you click on them, you're like overwhelmed and I don't feel like reading all of that. So what I would just do is, let's go to this one. Yeah, and see, it's just too much. So what I would do is I would just keep scrolling, and then I would see a Stack Overflow website and look at all these questions, look at all these results, and they give you the answer right away. You just click on it. And what I would do, I would just scroll directly to the answers and see if it would answer my question. So that's how I got better at programming. I would just go on Google and then type in my question, and then Google would just give me a Stack Overflow website. And then I would just have all of my questions answered by reading the answers and seeing which one was voted the highest. I guess nowadays you can just type it in ChatGPT, how to parse a CSV file in C. Yeah, I think this is too much reading also. That's why I like Stack Overflow. And maybe that's just what fits with my learning style. I'm going to leave you some tips on how I think you should use these websites effectively, because I don't think you should go on these websites and really spend a lot of time on them and watch all of these videos and look at all of these tutorials. I think the best way to learn is to actually code. I would say focus more on building things, building programming projects and different applications, and I think these websites also encourage you to do the same. So all that to say is, don't focus on one website. Just focus on your project, focus on building something, and then when you run into an issue, then you go online and see what these resources have to say about that issue. Over time, you'll start to develop your own list of websites that you find helpful for you and match your learning style. And at the end of the day, I don't think it really matters which resource you really look at, as long as you're learning something and you're building something and you're getting more experience and then you're growing your skills. I think what's more important than finding the best online resource is to be consistent in your practice. It's not really good to pick up coding and then take a break for like 4 weeks and then you get back to coding. You should be consistent in your programming, and that's where I think projects really help, because if you have a programming project, you become really passionate about it, and then you don't see it as a chore, you see it as something that you want to keep working on every day, and that's how you get better at coding. And I've said this many times before, but programming languages are like verbal languages. You're not going to really learn that verbal language if you only practice it once a month. You need to be practicing it regularly, consistently. You need to be practicing it every day, and then you also need to hear other people speak to you every day in that language. It's language learning by immersion. And speaking of language learning by immersion, that means you really need to find a community. You need to find other people that can really help you in your programming journey. And that's because you don't know what you don't know. You need someone to tell you what you don't know so that you can know what you don't know. So I recommend finding personal friends that you can code with and then work together to build some sort of application together. That's really good. If you can't find a personal friend, or if you can't find a mentor who can help guide you, you can also contribute to an open source project. I think this is really good because it's the closest thing you can get to an internship-like experience. When you contribute to an open source project, you can look at how other people code, and then when you make a code change or when you want to make an update, other people can comment on your code change and give you pointers and tips. And here's a subreddit that I really like, Learn Programming. And I really like this subreddit because people ask really good questions, and there's also a lot of good answers too. And look at this, are coding bootcamps worth it, or are there other ways? Let's see what people have to say there. This was asked 9 hours ago, but this is a question that people ask all the time. Not worth it at all. For $10,000 you can get your CS or IT degree at a community college. Oh, I agree with that. And look, there's people who also share their own experiences, and this is a community that you can actually learn with. And they don't just talk about coding topics like how to code, they also talk about general life topics. Like this guy says, do you guys enjoy/love coding? And basically he's asking, do you need to love coding to pursue this career? And there's a lot of interesting answers here. So it's always good to see other people's perspective and other people's experiences. There's also a really helpful page called FAQ. And here is all the questions that a lot of people ask. And look, where do I start? And look, it says here, find some small problem or project you're interested in tackling. And that's what I recommend. Project-based learning. Focus more on your project. I think it just gives you a general understanding of what the programming world is like and what different fields you can get into. And there's a section on how to improve, and there's a really good question. It says here, how do I move from a beginner to an intermediate level? Here are some of their suggestions: is switch from passive learning to active learning and constantly be practicing. So these are some tips that I'm already recommending to you. It really emphasizes the importance of projects like what I mentioned earlier. Speaking of projects, I have a project that you can actually work on where I can actually help you. And I help you in the form of my personalized finance app programming guide. And it's a free guide, and it's a guide where I teach you how to take your credit card transactions and then categorize them into different budget categories so you know how much you're spending. And it's a free guide, it's a 12-step guide, and I teach you how I would code this project. And I think this is a really fun project because it's really practical and you can use it for your own budget and your own personal finances. And you can download that in the link in the description. And if you download it and pay attention to what it says, you'll definitely learn some fundamental programming concepts. And then you can ask me questions along the way if you ever have any questions. And that's also a good place to really start if you're starting off in your programming journey. Alright, so I hope this video was helpful for you. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know in the comments section and I'll be sure to answer you there. And I'd love to hear some feedback from you. Are you using these online resources that I mentioned? If you are, I'd love to hear your experience with them and if any of them helped you. And if you have any other online resources that I haven't mentioned, I'd love to hear more about those as well so that other people can hear about them too. Alright, thanks for watching this video. I hope it really helped you out, and I'm wishing you all the best on your programming journey, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.